behind me, you can see we have firefighters arriving today in British Columbia from Mexico. Let me begin by saying that this is an incredibly challenging time for many British Columbia families. We've got about 7,000 people on evacuation, about the same number on notice that they may be evacuated. The smoke, the uncertainty, and for some families returning to find their homes destroyed is devastating. But even in these incredibly challenging times, there are stories of heroism and mutual support. I was just with Marie and Nick, who run the Stagecoach Cafe in Clinton, and they told me about how they kept their cafe open all hours to feed wildfire fighters, contractors, and others in their community right up until the minute of evacuation from their community. They were feeding about 80 people all day long and ensuring that people were looked after. They're incredible rock stars and deserve recognition for their efforts. There are stories like that in every corner of British Columbia right now impacted by wildfire. And I want to thank everybody who's stepping up, like Nick and Maria, to provide that support to our wildfire service and to everybody who is responding in the time of need for many of our communities. Mexico stepping up in this way, Australia sending firefighters. These Mexican firefighters are part of a group of about 600 additional firefighters that are coming to British Columbia to provide support to our wildfire service from other parts of the world and other parts of Canada. They are returning a favor, and I want to thank the wildfire fighters who are coming from all over the world. Our wildfire fighters went to Australia. We have Australian wildfire fighters coming here. Earlier in the season, our wildfire fighters went across Canada. We have wildfire fighters from across Canada coming back to British Columbia. These 200 wildfire fighters from Mexico are likely going to the Brunswick Complex fire in the Fraser Canyon. And they will provide much needed support and relief for our frontline wildfire fighters to be able to recover and then return to the front line to continue their important work after the temporary crews go home. I want to thank them so much. The Consul General from Mexico is here with us today, and I want to thank him and his country for stepping up to support British Columbia. Consul General, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. For British Columbians right now, there are literally thousands of people across the province that are stepping up to help out those who are evacuated and are not able to stay in their communities, and those who are facing the threat of forest fire. From volunteers to our wildfire crews, they are here to provide support. In exchange, all we ask of British Columbians is a few things. If you are asked to leave your community, please do evacuate. We've already had examples this year of our wildfire fighters having to go into dangerous situations to rescue people from communities that had already been evacuated. Please make sure if you're in a wildfire affected community that you're ready to go if you are receiving an evacuation warning. And having a go bag ready is a great idea. Follow along on the wildfire app to find out what the wildfire situation is in your community. Crucially important. And if you reasonably expect to be evacuated, pre-register for emergency services through the services that are available in British Columbia. All I'll say in conclusion is for those of you that are feeling the strain, that are seeing the impact of wildfire in our communities, you are not alone. We'll make sure that you have the supports that you need. Our wildfire fighters are out there on the front line, protecting structures, homes, critical infrastructure like power lines, making sure that people are looked after, protecting life, and as best as possible, property in this incredibly challenging wildfire season. We're expecting to see intensifying conditions over the next couple of weeks. The wildfire service is warning of dry weather and lightning strikes in the south of the province. And I want to thank the wildfire service in advance for all of their work on this. And I also want to thank everyone who's been involved in improving the capacities of the wildfire service to be able to predict and ensure that we have resources like these Mexican firefighters coming in at exactly when we need them. And so thank you to everybody involved on the front lines right now. I know all British Columbians are appreciating your service for the province. With that, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Oh, pardon me. With that, I'd like to invite the Consul General to come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much, Premier. I want to recognize you for. I would just like to recognize and thank you, Honorable David Eby, for joining us today. Your presence reflects the strong partnership and mutual trust that exists between British Columbia and Mexico, as well as our shared commitment to protecting our communities and natural resources. To the members of the Mexican wildfire crew, I extend our deepest gratitude and admiration. Their willingness to answer the call to serve beyond our borders is a testament to their professionalism, courage, and unwavering commitment to protecting lives, forests, and communities, regardless of borders. They represent the very best of Mexico. Their expertise, discipline, and dedication embody the values of public service and international cooperation. I am sure that they will greatly contribute to safeguarding British Columbia during this challenging wildfire season, and also will lead to strengthening the enduring friendship between Mexico and Canada. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I am greatly honored that my people, my fellow nationals, are helping Canadians in this time of troubles. Thank you.
We're going to take questions from the media now. All members of the media will have one question and one follow-up. For media on the phone line, please remember to press *1 to enter the queue and to unmute yourself when called upon. We're going to start here on the tarmac with Joe Sadowski from City News.
Hi, thank you for taking my question today. I apologize if you already said it. I was busy grabbing pictures of these great firefighters, but where exactly are these 100 firefighters being deployed in the province, and just exactly how much are they needed?
Thanks for the question. So the Wildfire Service, as part of their work, does projections based on long-range forecast, based on conditions in the province, to try to anticipate what's going to be needed in terms of additional resources in any given fire season. A number of weeks ago, they identified that this was going to be a challenging August for British Columbia, and they put out the request to the International Firefighting Center for additional resources. And Mexico heard the call, and as you can see, has stepped up in a significant way. These firefighters here, part of a larger group of about 600 national and international firefighters coming to British Columbia to provide support at exactly when we need them. In particular, we expect that these firefighters are likely to be deployed to the Brunswick Fire Complex, which is in the Fraser Canyon. What they will be doing is a 14-day shift, and they'll be providing relief to frontline BC Wildfire Service firefighters so they can catch their breath and recover, so that when the international crews leave, we have rested crews coming back online to be able to finish out the rest of the wildfire season. So they provide a bit of surge capacity, but pretty crucially, a chance for firefighting crews in the province to catch their breath and be able to recover from what is a very demanding, hot, exhausting, and quite dirty job that they're doing to support British Columbians out there fighting fires on the front line.
And how will British Columbia repay the favor to Mexico? And a two-part question here, unrelated topic. You're standing there with Minister Kelly Greene, who has voiced her opposition to a project about LNG. And I'm just wondering if you could speak to that yourself as well as the minister, and the first part of that question as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, in terms of British Columbia's role, what we've done in improving the capacity of our wildfire service, the resources available in the province, as well as the science behind wildfire through our Center of Excellence at TRU, the academic side, understanding fire behavior, understanding the best technologies and how to respond, as well as the on-the-ground practical experience of wildfire fighting. We have about 2,000 wildland firefighters that are out there on the front line that are BC Wildfire Service, as well as they are supported by these additional experts that assist them in making the decisions and in deploying and being as effective as possible. For all of that, we've been able to provide support to a number of other jurisdictions around the world. Most recently in the last year, California, when they were facing significant wildfire threats. Earlier this season, out to other provinces like Ontario and Quebec to provide additional support. Out to Australia to support. We have firefighters back from Australia. If Mexico ever needs our assistance, of course, we would be there in a minute. From a practical point of view, British Columbia covers the expenses, of course, of the wildfire fighters coming up from Mexico. But from a friendship perspective between our two countries, this is obviously crucially important. In terms of the government and the diversity of views around our table and the importance of people being able to represent their local communities and speak out as elected representatives for their local communities, there is always space for members of my government to have a conversation with me about a particular project or initiative and to be able to advocate for their communities, which is exactly what MLA Kelly Greene has done on this project. That will continue to be the case. We are a big tent party, and we're making sure that we're looking after British Columbians in every corner of the province.
Next, we'll head to Wildenette Paul with Radio Canada.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to know if the province is considering to declare a state of emergency at this time.
There's no question that for families in the province and local government officials, First Nations leaders, that they are facing emergencies in their communities. I think of Thompson-Nicola Regional District Chair, Barbara Roden, and the fact that the TNRD has been facing fire threats now for months and impacts. Those local government leaders are the ones on the ground who are making the calls about local states of emergency that ensure that they're able to get a handle on whatever they need at the local level. At the provincial level, we reserve states of emergency for when we need additional powers that aren't otherwise available. It's something we don't automatically reach to, like in the United States. We don't need it for additional funding from the federal government. We don't need it to be able to deploy resources like the Mexican firefighters who just arrived. What it does is it allows us to do things like when there was a flood in the Fraser Valley to ration fuel use, or when we had the big fires in 2021 to restrict travel in a certain area of the province. If conditions require us to do that, we will not hesitate to use those authorities. We're advised that as of this moment that I'm speaking to you, that is not required. But we have some very challenging weeks coming up, I'm told, by the BC Wildfire Service. And so if it is required for us to be able to use certain authorities under a declaration of provincial emergency, we will do that. In the meantime, the local states of emergency will govern.
Thank you. And the follow-up is regarding tourism industry and restaurants who has been impacted by the wildfires. What is the plan to support this sector?
Thanks. I just had a conversation with the mayor of Kelowna, Tom Díaz, and the mayor of Vernon. Those mayors are really focused right now on providing support for wildfire people affected by wildfire who've had to flee their communities. And I want to thank them and thank those communities for providing that support to people who are fleeing wildfire impacts. It's a bit of a complex thing because, these fires are very close to communities like Kelowna and Vernon. And yet, at the same time, they're not directly impacted yet. And so they're still able to have tourists, but the smoke impacts are starting to show up a little bit. So we'll continue to monitor the situation. We have emergency response capacities. Minister Kelly Greene and her team in Emergency Management BC are often looking to tourism operators where they may have to give up particular tourism opportunity. We often need those spaces to be able to move people in that aren't able to stay in their homes. And an excellent example I spoke about at the beginning is the Stagecoach Cafe in Clinton that ended up serving hundreds of meals a day to wildfire fighters and contractors when typically they would be more often feeding tourists. So we'll work with the tourism associations across the province to make sure that that impacts are addressed. But for right now, the focus is on life and safety in communities and protecting that vital infrastructure.
Next, we're going to head to the phone lines, and we're going to start with Rob Buffum from CTV. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my question. I wanted to get a reaction from the Premier to criticisms that you've been MIA while there's been these significant fires burning up portions of the province and destroying homes. This is the first the public is seeing of you addressing this. Why did you not make a public appearance earlier, and what do you say to criticisms that you should have done so?
Well, Rob, I guess I'll just say, frankly, that the last thing that wildfire fighters need when they're facing down a wall of flame is for the Premier to show up to hold a press conference. They need to focus on life response, protection of property. I've been reaching out to local leaders across the province, having challenging conversations without a doubt. When I talked to Chief Dan Wilson, Okanagan Indian Band, hearing about the impact that he's seeing, the hard conversations that he had to have earlier this week with his community, feeling like it's the leftovers of a war zone. The support for those local leaders is key and a priority for me. I've got two great ministers. I've got Kelly Greene and Ravi Parmar that are traveling the province, meeting with affected communities. Right now, Ravi's up in the Caribou, doing that important work. And I'm pleased to be here today welcoming these firefighters from Mexico and making sure that all the resources available are there for these local leaders. Frankly, making sure that they're able to direct their full attention to the front line.
Rob, do you have a follow-up?
I do, thank you. I just wanted to get your take on, how confident you are that there are enough resources as we enter what we heard earlier this week, like Thursday through Saturday, dry lightning. It's the hottest month of the year coming up, and we've heard that the forecast is going to be worrisome. Do we have enough resources, whether it's personnel or things like helicopters? And I'm just wondering, given the lay of the land, how likely it is that we are going to see a state of emergency declared like we did in 2017, 18, 21, 2023 provincially. I gather that, I understand we don't need it yet. And I guess finally, if you could weigh in on, do you recommend people avoid the Okanagan, places like Kelowna or Vernon at this point for travel?
Thanks, Rob. Well, I'll say that the best advice I have from the BC Wildfire Service right now is that we have sufficient resources for the challenge that we face. These 600 additional national and international firefighters that are coming online, the 6 additional aircraft that have come on from the National Service, other services across Canada and elsewhere, provide the support that the BC Wildfire Service says is sufficient to respond to what we're facing right now. The situation on the ground changes so quickly with these wildfires. When they're moving along with 80 to 100 kilometer winds, when they're creating their own weather systems, I would be extremely cautious in any kind of projection going forward. I know that we have trained professionals that are there, that are looking at weather forecasts, impacts on the ground, potential fuel sources, and focusing the attention of the Wildfire Service on protecting that vital infrastructure like power lines, water supply services, people's homes, and protecting lives is the main focus of the Wildfire Service, and they are able to meet those needs right now. If the experts require additional resources from the province, they will be there. We'll make sure that they're there as a government, and that they're delivered to those local communities, informed by that local government, those First Nations governments that are close to the front lines of the impacts that we're seeing. In terms of travel directives, the province is not issuing travel directives, and we are not restricting travel at this point. It is a tool that is potentially available to us through a state of emergency. It's something that happened in 2021. But right now, the best advice that we have from the Wildfire Service and first responders is that traffic on the roads is not impacting the ability of them to respond to the challenges in the provinces right now from wildfire. The air show is here this weekend, so there's a little bit of preparatory work happening behind me.
Next, we're going to head to Catherine Urquhart with Global News. Go ahead, Catherine.
Yes, hi, Premier. In regards to the Granville Strip, there's disappointment and concern that a number of these SROs have not been closed. Why is it so difficult for this job to get completed?
Catherine, we've been working closely with the City of Vancouver and BC Housing to close the Lugat SRO and to relocate tenants. The last update I had, I think there was one tenant left in that building. And so we have responded to the concerns of the community. This was an SRO, this was a residential hotel where people were taken from an encampment and put directly into the hotel as a response. It did not work. And so moving people out of that building, ensuring that they're going to places where they're going to get the support that they need and where they're going to be more successful and have less impact on the community is the focus. That's why it doesn't happen overnight. But to the best of my knowledge, things are progressing well on that front. And I would be happy to get the Ministry of Housing to get some more information to you on the SROs on Granville.
Catherine, do you have a follow-up for the Premier?
Yeah, just in the same vein, critics are asking, why your government isn't doing more to help those with mental health problems. Is it a priority for your government?
Well, gosh, Catherine, I was just up in Prince George announcing a new 100-bed facility that's going to provide people with intensive mental health and addiction supports for people who are struggling with addiction, mental health, and brain injury. We simultaneously announced a site in Surrey that we are retrofitting for the same purpose. I believe there's 40 or 50 beds at that site. We've opened beds in provincial correctional institutions in the Lower Mainland, and we're working to identify sites in the interior and on Vancouver Island to do the same thing. The work of Dr. Vigo, scientific advisor to the province on issues of serious mental health and addiction, have resulted in significant shifts in how the province responds, including additional funding to ACT teams, so the teams in the street that provide direct support to people to get them on medications, get them supported and stabilized in the community. They've had significant impact. I believe they're one of the reasons why we're seeing declining overdoses in the province, and that work continues. We also have a dedicated set of work that's happening specifically on the downtown east side in Vancouver, the real hub of mental health and addiction challenges in the province, recognizing that if we can get a handle on things there, there'll be strong responses across the province. And we expect to have more to say about the work of Senator Larry Campbell, who's assisting us with that in September. And so all of these pieces are rolling out. I understand that people want this to happen faster. I want it to happen faster too. And one of the big challenges we face in opening these facilities is that the trained staff, just like any medical response that we face right now, the shortage of medical staff, which is why I'm so glad that there was a new class that just started at the Surrey Medical School that just opened, the SFU Medical School, class of 50 people focused on community care. And that work of recruiting American healthcare workers as well to come in and provide support. So there is actually a lot happening on this front, and I'd be happy to engage with those critics and walk them through all the work the province is doing to respond to the very serious challenge of mental health in our communities.
Next, we will head to Katie DeRosa with the CBC. Go ahead, Katie.
Premier, further to acknowledging Minister Greene's reluctance around LNG, the BC Green Party is accusing your government of abandoning climate change goals, doubling down on fossil fuels at a time when worsening wildfires are caused by climate change. So how do you respond to that? Has your government completely abandoned climate change?
Not at all, Katie, and I think you know that. One of the big challenges we face, I think, as a country right now is that we're feeling the impacts of climate change in every single province and territory. The wildfire impacts here in BC are not unique. They're showing up in Ontario and Quebec. My colleagues from the north, from the territories, from Nunavut, are seeing impacts of melting permafrost. This is a very real thing. And so one of the things that is a reality, though, too, that we're recognizing in British Columbia is that we can offer the capacity of a province with incredible resources, including hydroelectricity, to offer low-carbon resources to the world, whether they're mining resources or energy resources. Our LNG is the lowest carbon in the world because it is electrified as much as possible throughout the chain, because we have high standards around methane leakage and emissions. And we can offer LNG to allies like Germany that take climate change very seriously. And they buy from us as a matter of preference. Same with Japan, because we can help them with their overall greenhouse gas profiles as they drive down their numbers as well. We are in a transition. These fuels are unfortunately still necessary. and British Columbia can offer a way to be able to use these fuels with a lower carbon footprint to our customers. The alternative is simply to allow Donald Trump to build LNG across Alaska with the lowest possible standards and ship basically out of the exact same area to the same countries while emitting more carbon and methane. I just don't think that's a good approach for us and for the province. And so we'll be making those decisions. And if the Greens want to make these points in an election campaign, then they're certainly welcome to do so. We take climate change very seriously, but we also recognize that BC can play a role in driving down carbon pollution around the world.
Katie, do you have a follow-up?
And yes, how do you respond to the court decision finding that the NDP government's involuntary care regime is unconstitutional? Will you be making changes to reflect that ruling?
Yeah, Katie, this is not the NDP government's mental health act. This is the Mental Health Act that has governed in British Columbia for a significant amount of time, probably in excess of 20 years. We know that the Mental Health Act needs revision and modernization. That's why we committed to do a review of the Act. We'll study the decision and respond accordingly. But one thing that I want to be absolutely clear about is that our province will not be successful in ensuring that people can live dignified lives in community to the highest capacity that they are able, unless we do have tools like being able to provide treatment to people who are struggling with serious mental health issues. And so that component of healthcare, where if someone shows up in a diabetic coma in an emergency room and you can administer care to that person who's struggling in that way without having to worry about complex issues of consent, needs to also be considered around mental health issues while recognizing it's incredibly complex. When someone is in a deep delusion in our streets, they're addicted to drugs, they have a brain injury, and government is unable to provide a healthcare response to that person, then that is a failure across the board. So we will we'll study this court decision very carefully. We'll work with experts in this area, and we'll ensure within the 6 months that we have that we've either appealed or we've brought forward amendments to the Mental Health Act to respond to the court decision. But these are absolutely crucial tools for people in British Columbia, for communities in British Columbia, to be able to ensure that people get the care that they need to live dignified lives, and that those who are struggling in our streets have the highest quality of life, but also have minimal impact on the rest of the community as well.
We have time for one more question, and we're going to head to Brenna Owen with the Canadian Press. Go ahead, Brenna.
Hi there. Thank you for making time for me. Premier, I'm just wondering, what's your message to farmers who feel they do need to stay and fight wildfire and protect their properties and their animals and their crops themselves in spite of evacuation orders?
Well, I mean, the agriculture sector is one that has been profoundly impacted by wildfire. And I can't think of anything more difficult for a farmer than being faced with an evacuation notice while knowing that your animals are potentially in distress. Part of the emergency management work includes working with farmers, with the agricultural sector, to respond to those unique circumstances. I certainly would never want to be put in a choice like that, and it is part of the challenge and everyday heroism that goes into being a farmer. And I want to thank our farmers for providing all our food for us and recognize these incredibly hard choices that they have to make. But I will say that our number one priority is the protection of human life and making sure that the farmers in our communities and their families are safe and that our wildfire fighters are not put at risk having to go in and rescue people who have not responded to an evacuation order is a very serious thing. And I wonder, Kel, do you want to? I'll invite Minister Greene up to say a few words about how her ministry works with farmers in the province.
Thank you. Certainly our agriculture sector is incredibly important to us, and we work with them extensively pre-season, in particular with the care of livestock, those kinds of livestock that can't easily be moved in the event that an evacuation becomes necessary. those farmers should be checking in with our with the local emergency operations center, the EOC. That EOC will be able to provide instruction on how to have safe re-entry in the event that you need to take care of your animals. Obviously, human life is always our priority, and making sure that that is coordinated with the EOC so that both our first responders, our farmers, and everyone is kept safe.
Brenna, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, so obviously we're welcoming wildland firefighters from other provinces and other countries right now. There's been a big push over the last few years to expand the BC wildfire service. So I guess I'm just wondering, like, do we have enough crews in BC, or are we at a point where we need to call on others as is happening now? And is that just part of the way this works, or are you going to be looking to kind of expand the service further?
Yeah, thanks. A really important question. And it's a question I ask our wildfire service all the time. The response that I've gotten from the wildfire service is, look, we've increased in size by almost 60% since the 2021 fires. There's a Center for Excellence in Wildfire Science that is assisting in prediction around wildfire seasons that enables us to have timely arrival of additional resources like this. There is an international coordination center that recognizes that wildfire seasons don't all happen at the same time around the world, and that countries can support each other, and that this is part of how it works. But that key question of do we need additional resources was answered for me quite firmly by the wildfire service. It says, look, if we had double the number of wildfire fighters in the early days up at the Big Bar fire, it wouldn't have made a difference. And the key for us is having the right resources at the right time. And one of the benefits of the forecasting and the work is that we're able to put in the request sufficiently early to be able to access these resources. I suspect, I hope it's not true, but I suspect that we'll have to continue to add to the BC Wildfire Service to respond to growing threats, and also that some of these costs for British Columbians will be offset by doing what we're already doing, which is providing additional resources to other jurisdictions around the world through these efforts. I can see the silver lining of the challenges we faced over the years, that British Columbia is becoming a center of excellence in wildfire response, technology, and prediction, and leveraging that to be able to support other jurisdictions and to create opportunities here out of what is a very tragic and awful situation for our province is at least a bit of a silver lining for British Columbians as we go forward. You know, it's been the case that the kind of impacts that we've seen in BC back around 2021 are just starting to show up in other provinces like Ontario and out east, and that will continue to be the case. And so finding ways that we can support our neighbors will also be crucially important.
That concludes today's media availability. Thank you everyone for joining us here at the Abbotsford Airport.
Thanks very much, everybody.